Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 12th of August, 2023. Coming up in this episode of the crusty-canuck podcast, episode 222, or 222, wildfires and other bullshit. In light of recent news of the catastrophic wildfires going on in Hawaii, there's still more fires coming on in Canada, and other political BS for the masses to swallow. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. I do smoke cigarettes and tend to swear a bit in this show. See you in a bit.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty-Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, episode 222, wildfires and other bullshit. Yes, got some nasty fires going on in the world as we speak right now. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, crusty-canuck, on this beautiful 12th of August, 2023. I want to say thank you to everybody out there that tuned into my last episode. I've get some good response, some lovely emails, and a couple emails from people that say they wanted to help me, but then try to suck me into whatever money I have left. So anyway, all my supporters out there, give yourselves a round of applause. You guys are awesome. Well done. Well done to you all out there. And a special thank you to my friends in Ontario that are watching right now. I've had some lovely emails from them. So thank you guys. And to my new American listeners, I've been seeing the stats on my Podbean account, and it's going up. So I want to say thank you to my American friends and brothers and sisters out there. Thank you very much. Keep downloading, keep sharing this stuff all over around. And if you're liking what you see, please click like and subscribe. Share this podcast all over your social media platforms and all that too. Help us Canucks keep our content out there for the masses to see, right? And help other Canadians see too. So like I'm saying, wildfires. So Hawaii. Firstly, I don't condone what's been going on with the fires. I lived through a tornado when I was a kid. We were lucky where we lived. However, our town was devastated for a while. So I know what it's like to witness a disaster. And my sincerest condolences out there to my Hawaiian friends who have lost a loved one, who have lost their property, or, lost anything in general. In no way am I condemning, or correction, I am condemning a fire, but I'm not condoning anyone setting ablaze or blaming the climate. It's just what it is. It's like the article says, we've had all these wildfires this past month and a half. So can you not maybe think there's a little coincidence going on here? Honestly, like, never mind the conspiracies or about energy weapons or anything like that. Think how coincidental everything's coming together in such a short time. You've got the fires in Greece. We've had the fires here in Canada now since the end of June, mid-June. It's now August. So the better part of a month and a half, give or take a few days. All these fires have popped up, and then what? Of course, all these politicians and UN officials are like saying, it's climate change. It's global boiling. Oh, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to take more of your money and call it a day. Don't you drive your SUV, but we're going to fly over to Geneva, Switzerland, or we're going to fly here and fly there to tell you what to do. So that's what it's coming down to, folks, honestly. Because you and I both know that grass and trees do not spontaneously combust. Neither does deadfall. So yes, is there room for human error? You're fucking right, there is. People flicking cigarettes, that happens. Campfires that aren't put out properly or left unattended, that happens. Or you might get some activist or some shithead or someone paid a few bucks to go take their lighter and do something like, you know what I mean? Quinky dink. And in no way, like I say again, I am not condoning what happened to those people in Hawaii. No, I'm not condoning the property loss that's happened in BC and Alberta and parts of Saskatchewan, or the loss that's happened in Greece as we speak right now. So one can honestly say that this is probably a deflection of sorts, a deflection of something, or just a lot of bullshit. And really, what can you say? Powers that be want to keep taking more money from me and from you and from other people in the name of the climate catastrophe or the emergency they keep saying. Okay. And I think we're going to do okay, but we got to see through this bullshit. I am all for trying to keep temperatures regular or normal, but taking more money out of our pockets and penalizing people for driving or for eating meat is not going to help. Right? Now, from what I hear, it's expensive to live on the island of Hawaii or the islands of Hawaii to begin with, because they're islands and they're in the middle of the fucking Pacific Ocean. But nobody deserves to have their home destroyed. Nobody deserves to have their livelihoods compromised because somebody has a goddamn agenda. See, that's my best guess, ladies and gentlemen. That's my best guess on what is going on with this climate BS. Okay. You can find a picture going around the internet with Greta Thunberg saying climate emergency action now. And yet she's standing behind or standing in front of a lush green forest. How's that an emergency? Don't we want things lush and green? Don't we want the osmosis happening and carbon dioxide going around and feeding these plants that can provide fruits and vegetables for the vegans and provide sustenance for the animals that we eat? The ever-ending cycle, the never-ending cycle of life on this planet. All right. Now, I've dealt with some people on my Twitter feed in regards to climate and how we should stop using these certain things. But they also forget that half of their wardrobe, half the items they use on a daily basis is petroleum-based. Right? Mr. John Wilkinson, our environmental minister, who really talks to people like they're a bunch of idiots, suggests it's because of climate change. Where? Right? Mr. Gore made a point of saying that the ice caps are going to melt by 2013. That's what he said, I think, back in 2007. So from 2007 to 2013, people had 6 years to get their shit together before the polar ice caps melt. And yet they're still there. They are still there. Okay. And you talk to any actual climatologist that's not on the government payroll. Okay. They'll probably tell you different. Now, I'm going to leave some links in my description there, ladies and gentlemen, for you to follow too, in regards to climate scientists, Dr. Patrick Moore and Friends of Science, a decent webpage. I've reached out to them. They haven't come back to me yet. But common sense people who have basically said, yes, there is a climate change, but not to a point where we're going to die in 12 years. And if the Earth's temperature goes up another degree, nothing's going to happen. So all this panic is just ridiculous, because when you want to look at a pollution scale, I think Canada's contributions to the whole carbon emissions is about 1.5 or 1.6%, based on roughly 4 to 5% that China emits, another 4 to 5% that India emits, and I think 3.5 and 4% that parts of the United States emits. Right? Now, do they have carbon taxes in the United States? Do they? Well, as far as I know, they don't. As far as I know, they don't. And BC is the longest, has the carbon tax in place. They've had it the longest all over the country. Now, when you sit there and you tax me for fueling up my truck or my car, and then you tax me again for fueling up my truck, my car, plus GST, you're basically just gouging. So regardless of the catastrophes that have happened because of these fires, and as far as I know, the authorities on Vancouver Island are still looking at some arsonists they're investigating, as well as some of our authorities here in Alberta are looking out for arsonists too. Regardless of the catastrophe it's caused, I would say it was man-made, right? Climate change is man-made, so they say. So is arson. Arson is man-made too. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe and share this content all of your social media platforms. Help a fellow Canadian out, or help a Canadian out, to try to get this content on the go before our big censors in the Liberal Party of Canada with C11, C36, and C18 want to tell you what to watch. I'll be right back after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty-Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crusty-canuck.ca.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Crusty-Canuck here. Just to remind you, my wonderful audience out there, The Battlefit Bodywear was founded in Windsor, Essex, Ontario in 2019 and is a proud Canadian company. All of our apparel and accessories are purchased and printed right in our hometown by local independent business owners. And we pride ourselves on quality and customer satisfaction. At Battlefit Bodywear, we believe that every person has a warrior with them waiting to come out. Our brand is meant to inspire and fan the internal flame. Regardless of what your thing is, take it to the next level and be the best version of yourself that you can be. We also believe in that maintaining balanced lifestyle is a key to a good life. It includes having a regimented and productive fitness and exercise schedule. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline will get you across the finish line. Get there with Battlefit Bodywear. Crusty-Canuck says so. Cheers. And that's Battlefit Bodywear. Be Battlefit. Be battle ready. Battlefit Bodywear. Be limitless. Be Battlefit. Battlefit Bodywear. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Links will be in my description too under sponsor. And we're carrying on with episode 222. Wildfires and other bullshit. So once again, my condolences to the people out there that have lost their homes and lost loved ones and friends alike. My deepest condolences here in Western Canada. It's devastating, and I'm sorry to hear. We have some floods that are happening in Nova Scotia. And all these things, like I said, just kind of are a little too close together for my liking. You know, as much as I want people to get along and get ahead, I think there's still a lot of bullshit that's been plaguing people during this whole environmental emergency they're trying to promote here too. If it was such an emergency, I would say there'd be more nations getting together to come up with some viable plans rather than a new taxation with a representation. Okay. And it's because of all these new taxes and all these lies and how our governments, especially down in the States, talking about misinformation and disinformation. That's misinformation. That's disinformation. Bullshit. There's a hidden agenda that's going on, as far as I'm concerned, to take more money from people to keep them poorer. Okay. Don't blame capitalism. Okay. And don't blame the far right aficionados. Don't blame the far left aficionados, even though they have probably more to do with it than a far right wing nuts. Okay. I would say this. There are people out there that don't want you and I to get along and get ahead. There are people out there that don't want us to progress properly, meaning to have more money to put away, to have extra food in the fridge, to have extra fuel that we can use to go to work or to take your loved one or your kids to a nice trip someplace or a nice little holiday or a day trip to a fucking theme park. No, as far as I'm concerned, there are people that are in charge that are calling the shots, and where I put my money, where you put your money, and how they can get a hold of it and take it again to build their great fucking utopia. Well, I like to remind some kids out there, and I will call them children, because some of the responses I've had on Twitter from some of these socialists that say they're based, fuck you. Okay? Pardon my swearing. Sorry for using the F-bomb. Fuck you. Okay? You want to sit and promote this so-called utopia, and you want to keep finger wagging and blaming this person and blaming that person and blaming this and blaming that. So here comes the other bullshit of today's episode. Fuck socialists, fuck communists, fuck fascism, right? Fuck all you three socialist-based weirdos, okay? Right? All three branches of socialism I just mentioned to you. Fuck yous all. Okay? Because a lot of you commies and socialists out there and fascists, you might call yourself something different, but you guys know who you are. You haven't fought for anything in your lives. I don't think you fought a day in your life other than, maybe knocking down a statue or spray painting something and saying you're standing up for the working class. I don't think you've ever gone to work ever. I really don't think you know what it takes to actually go to work on a day-to-day basis, right? So us Gen Xers, some of us boomers, I've got family that are in the fight with me too, right? And I got friends of mine that are about 10, 20 years younger than I am. They're in the fight. So some Gen Zers and some millennials are getting sick of your shit. Okay? We're getting tired of it. Right? You want to go in the street and cause trouble? Okay. Right? Don't be surprised one day if someone taps you on the shoulder and cold cocks you right in the fucking mouth and then turns around and says to you, we warned you, didn't we? Now, I'm not advocating the use of violence here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pretty heated about this stuff, right? But it's getting to a point where there is a boiling point. So in a way, there is global boiling, just not in the sense of, throwing a pot on the stove and to make your favorite macaroni and cheese dinner. Boiling where people are socially getting tired of this shit. People are getting tired of being lied to. People are getting fed up with being told what place they have to sit in. For example, I'm a veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces. I know a few veterans in the States. I've got some brethren I talk to on a regular basis via the podcast, via my website. And we talk about things back and forth. And the similarities are there. Break glass in case of war, break glass in case of emergency. Oh, nobody values a veteran's point of view when it comes to diplomacy or leadership. Nobody values a veteran's point of view when it comes to team building or teamwork, right? You should. Okay. Now, I do appreciate the comments I have received over the past 6 months in regards to thank you for your service, Krusty. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. And that means something to me. Okay. But I've actually heard the same thank you for your service from politicians that don't give a shit. I've heard the same thank you for your service from bureaucrats that are too busy counting their tax dollars, worrying about their next fucking holiday to Ireland or to South America. Right? I've heard people worry about, the toxic masculinity part of military service. If you're so afraid of toxic masculinity, then maybe the military is not for you. Mm-hmm. If you're so worried about toxic masculinity, maybe firefighting is not for you. Maybe policing is not for you. Maybe working in a factory on your feet, building parts and building machinery and fixing machinery is not for you if it's too goddamn toxic. Okay. So those individuals that dismiss veterans all the time, or those individuals that dismiss people that are over the age of 40 and have an opinion that's worth more than your half-assed gender studies degree. Think about that. Think long and fucking hard about that. The veterans in World War II did something honorable. The veterans in World War I did something honorable too. The veterans that went to Korea did something honorable. And the veterans that went to Vietnam, or some Americans would say Vietnam. Nam or Nam, doesn't matter. They served. And some of our Canadian brothers stepped up, crossed the border, and joined the U.S. Army and Marines and the Navy and the Coast Guard and the Air Force and did their part too, what they thought was right as well. They figure roughly anywhere from 25,000 to 30,000 Canadians signed up in the American services during those years. So regardless of how you feel about warfare, somebody had to do it. Somebody had to step up and do that shit job. Somebody had to step up and go over there for a year if they lived, or go over there for another year if they lived. Just like in Canada, somebody had to step up and do a 6-month tour. Somebody had to step up and go over here and go over there. Someone's got to put on that gear and the breathing apparatus and storm that building to pull those kids out. Someone's got to make the tough decision to sit there with an armed individual and decide, do I shoot this person? Do I stun this person? Or do I try to negotiate? All in a few seconds of time until that individual reacts. And that police officer has to react quickly, promptly, and professionally without getting themselves or anybody else hurt. Right? So to you little kids out there that talk about unfairness and we deserve equity, get off your ass and earn it. Shit simple. Right? I don't care what degree you have. I don't care how much debt you have. Welcome to the real world. Hey? People get debt. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Okay? There's good things that you can get in debt, i.e. having a home, but now that's getting more difficult because, especially here in Canada, government red tape. Okay? Who's going to build this? Who's going to build that? Zoning. Oh, fuck you, name it. There is tons of regulations out there just in the municipal side of things, let alone the province and the federal side of things. But when the government borrows and borrows and borrows and borrows and borrows and prints and prints and prints all this money, things go up in cost. Yet those same individuals that have said, oh, well, we're down to 2.8% inflation. That's cool, but bravo. Oh, that's amazing. That's really good. Oh, that's great. That's great. That's fantastic. But guess what? Food, gas, heat, and hydro is still right the fuck out to lunch. Right? So to all those backers and supporters of our progressive government, obviously you're not getting your ass tickled, or you're just afraid to admit we're getting it sideways. Well, you want to follow the dear leaders into a victory. Well, you might end up in an early grave, financially, that is.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crusty-canuck.ca.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 222 of the Crusty-Canuck podcast. Wildfires and other bullshit. Yes, sorry for getting a little heated there. I was getting a little too emotional for my own good. Oh, my goodness. Now, in my 50 years, yes, I said I was 50, and I am 50. Oh, my God, you must be old. Oh, I've heard comments like that from people before. That's life. Well, my father was 50. He would tell me things, and I'd listen, right? When mother was alive and when she was 50, she would tell me things too. But don't call me father. I'm not your father. I'm just a podcaster speaking his mind, trying to keep the freedom of speech alive while we still can, ladies and gentlemen. And so should you out there. Keep it rocking and rolling. Keep the words out there. Okay. There's a big stink with the whole Meta and Google thing about newscasters not getting their fair share, or big tech not paying its fair share. You know what's amazing? Every time I hear the NDP in this country, that's the New Democrat Party. They're like a socialist party to my American listeners out there. And our liberals, they're like your Democrats. They keep talking about people not paying their fair share. Now, I'd like to remind my audience out there, too, that any backbencher in Parliament right now is receiving roughly $189,000 or $192,000 a year. Now, if you're a minister or a shadow minister, then I'm actually skyrockets to about 225, or I think roughly 240 a year if you're the shadow minister or a minister of something. Okay. And there's quite a few new ministerial positions that were just made up for the sake of progress and diversity, make everybody happy, so everybody's included, right? Except for the taxpayer, because, they get it up the chuff all the fucking time. But hey, who am I to criticize, right? I'm all for diversity and inclusion, but without diversity of thought, without diversity of ideas. And I know some lefties out there don't like the idea of marketplace of ideas. That's just so passe. Oh, that's hate speech, right? There's usually some fat bastard sitting in some cubicle, having his ketchup chips, drinking his Coca-Cola, and wanting to have the luxury of sitting at home in his jammy jams while he can do work on a Zoom meeting. Yeah, okay. Well, fuck that. Anyway, carrying on again with episode 222 of the Crusty-Canuck podcast, wildfires and other bullshit. So I've talked about bullshit enough. It's everywhere. What can I say, ladies? It's everywhere, right? There's a podcaster there by the name of Jerry McKenzie, ex-soldier, fellow Royal. Good lad. He's made some mistakes. He said some stupid things, but all the power to him for standing his ground. And he's made some very, very valid points when it comes to the politics of this country. There were situations where the Conservatives could have stood up and did something. There were situations where our own Liberals could have stood up and done something. And of course, there are situations where our NDP, our commie lights, could have done something too, but they don't. Because the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is that they're looking out for themselves. Okay. Look at the NDP page on Twitter anytime, how they talk about virtue and how there's corporate greed in the grocery stores. Well, there's corporate greed in every corporation in North America. And I'm almost positive the same in Europe too. Okay. Oh, these companies are making record profits and they don't pay their workers a fair wage. What the fuck do you care about fair wages when your taxation without representation is screwing Canadians coast to coast to coast? So I don't buy that virtue for any reason at all. Okay. I personally believe in fair taxation. a flat rate. And if the government wants to make money, I'm sure they can do it by other means than reaching into our pockets and grabbing more of it, especially during the financial crisis that they caused. The sitting parliament, the sitting politicians right now, I don't care if they're off for summer or not, okay? The governing bodies in this country put us in this position. It's not some worldwide phenomenon. It's not because of climate change. It's because of their incompetency and their bloody tomfoolery. And basically, it's their own fucking greed. So while they keep gaslighting companies that do this and do that, they're deflecting from themselves. So it's up to you and I, ladies and gentlemen, all of my Canadian listeners and all my American listeners too, to hold every politician to account. If that means we have to spend an extra 10, 15 minutes picking up the telephone or typing an email to them, so fucking be it. Okay? I'd like to do this as peacefully as possible. Okay? And what gets me too is you get some of these aides and some of these bureaucrats still trying to figure out, oh, why are so many Canadians getting angry? Oh, that's just not Canadian. How long have you lived in Canada? You ever watched Team Canada play? Ever watched a lacrosse game? Yeah, Canucks get pissed off. Canucks get angry. Sorry, we're not walking around with 50 caliber rifles willing to blow a tank up in the fucking street. No. But there's a lot of us know how to use them. And there's a lot of us know how to use this and that and little tricks of the trade, a few skills here and there, if it calls for it. But I don't want anything like that to be called for to begin with. What I'd like to see is responsible adults take responsibility and be accountable for their shit. Kind of like how you and I were taught, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of like how you and I were taught that if you're late for work, you own it, right? Or if you lie, you own up to it. Or if you make a mistake, you fucking own up to it. All part of being an adult. And yet when I see these clowns on television saying, oh, it's because of climate change and it's because of inflation. Yeah, it's because someone's giving them a little slap and tickle on the reach around and a promise of a kiss and glory at the end of the day. And you and I know it's not going to happen. You know, it's just all bullshit.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crusty-canuck.ca.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to follow and subscribe to the Crusty Canuck podcast, please check me on all these platforms. You can find the podcast and my page on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on the Tube, and Rumble too. And to my Rumblers out there, please click my locals icon that's under there too. You can support the podcast by donating anywhere from $2 or $3 a month. You'll get access to behind the scenes stuff, you know, some photos, some quips, some tidbits, and all that too. And it really helped me along the way too. And if you don't want to join me on Rumble, ladies and gentlemen, you can always join me by donating on the Buy Me a Coffee app, which will be in the description. You can give what you can or become a member of the YouTube page, what have you. Every little bit helps, you know. And this is also brought to you by free speech, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, more important than your feelings, free speech. And of course, the incomparable Gary getting down to business. That's right, ladies. Listen to the fine vocal stylings of Gary and his bell bottoms behind a phone booth and transport trucks. Anyhow, enough of that shit. I've actually had people ask me about the Gary thing, and there was a page on Facebook called Tribute to the Worst Album Covers, and I think it was called something else now, but it's still on my feed, and I look at it once in a while. I have a little chuckle about some of the album covers that some of these artists have put out. Now, maybe Gary's a good singer. I don't know. I'm not going to go away trying to find a burnt copy or a vinyl copy of that record. I just saw it as like, okay, this is going on the show. Gary, that's right. Hi, ladies. But I just had to throw it on there, just throw some humor into some of this anger that's been going on. I was going to try to put together a polar vortex of bullshit. I don't have a candidate this episode, but I'll play the title card anyway, just to make some of my fans happy. There's no episode of
The Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
However, next podcast episode, not the Tuesday rant, but the one I'll probably do from 2 weeks from now, I will actually have a likely and a viable candidate for the
the Canadian polar vortex of bullshit.
Yeah, so I had a couple of fans ask me the other day about that. And I said, well, if I find a lucky candidate, I will definitely put that up there for you all too. But I don't have one. But anyway, I gave you the title card and the shout out too. So, a round of applause for that, because you guys are awesome. And, I try my best to please you all. But anyway, in this episode of 222 Crusty-Canuck Podcast, wildfires and other bullshit. So in light of recent events, this is all I got to say. Let's just do what we can to be good. Let's do what we can to be sane. Regardless of how many big techs are doing this or big techs are doing that, or big grocery chains are doing whatever, we as the Canadian people, and my American friends too, my British friends, whoever's listening to this podcast all around the globe, we just got to do what we can to be decent to each other. It's that simple. Regardless of where you sit on the political fence, regardless of how many identities you might have, or what your sexual preference is. I personally don't care if Bob and Steve get busy. I don't care if June and Anna get busy. Knock yourselves out. Have all the bum fun and carpet fun you want. I don't really care. What I care about is that you try your damnedest to be good to people. Okay? And I'm not saying give away your money, give away your food, but do what you can to be a little more kinder than what we are given by our leaders. Okay? Don't fall for the narratives. Don't fall for the whole taxation without representation. Start demanding the representation. It's that simple. And we can do it without violence. We can do it without greed. We can do it without causing any shit. But you can't deny the fact that things are starting to boil. And I'm not talking the global here. I'm talking about people. There are people that have worked 25, 30 years. Savings gone. There are people that have invested time and effort in their careers and their education, gone. All because somebody in Ottawa or in Washington, D.C. cannot get their shit together. So let us, the Canadian taxpayer, the American taxpayers, the British taxpayers, German, French, every democratic country that is trying to thrive, let us do better by our means, and let's start demanding it. Okay. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I've been crusty-canuck on this beautiful 12th of August, 2023. Once again, my sincerest condolences and my heartfelt sadness to the people of Hawaii that are going through a real hard time. I don't know what to say. Just, I hope we can get through this and we can overcome this. And to my friends in BC and Alberta too, who are still fighting the fires and trying to find the people responsible, let's keep our chins up and get that done. And to you, my wonderful audience, the feedback I've had the past couple of weeks, thank you very much. Round of applause to you all too. Once again, you guys are awesome. And to my new rumblers out there, well done, well done, well done. Keep on rumbling. And just a reminder too, if you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe. Share this podcast all over your social media platforms too. And thank you to my Podbeaners, I guess I can say that. My Podbeaners and Podbeans, whatever, to my fans on that page. Thank you. Keep subscribing, keep downloading, and share it all over your social media platforms too. Like I said, this has been Crusty-Canucks episode 222. Wildfires and other bullshit. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just put the title card up again. That's right. Yes, wildfires and other bullshit. So stick around on Tuesday. I'll have another Tuesday rant up and running and rocking for you all. And like I say, stay hydrated. The weather's still pretty hot where we are, so get lots of water into you. I got some yard work and stuff to do tomorrow, so I'll be a pretty busy lad for the next couple of days, but I'll have an episode of the Tuesday rant up for you all there too come this Tuesday. So like I say, look after your friends and loved ones the best you can with what you got, and just try to be civil with each other. And like I always say, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you Tuesday all. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.